Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this update, we are going to check out KASPA's price chart and see what is going on in the short term. And I think I do have good news for you. But before we get into all that, we are going to real quick take a look at something quite interesting in my view happening behind the scenes on the on-chain side of stuff. And in case you're not really active on Twitter, you should know that recently we actually had like a few of the biggest wallets, I would say, starting to buy KASPA quite a lot. And there are two very important points in here. So first things first, let's just do a quick breakdown. Point number one, wallet number one by holdings recently added in the last couple of days about 10.4 million KASPA tokens and now holds about, let's say, 4.5% of the total supply, which is absolutely insane. This is like QNT type whale behavior. And if you are a member of the main channel and you also do hold QNT, you probably know what I'm talking about. Point number two, wallet number 7 in terms of holdings recently pulled about 15 million of its token out from Kraken exchange into their own private wallet. And point number 3, wallet number 8 recently picked up about 9 million KASPA tokens in the last couple of days and now sits at roughly 1.5% of the total supply. And what matters in all these situations is actually the timing. You see, it's very important to understand that all these transactions actually took place when in KASPA we were going up quite a lot. And you might ask, well, okay, why is this important? Because simple reason actually, you see, most retail traders actually take profit when the market is jumping really fast. However, these wallets actually bought into the strength as opposed to selling into it. And when big holders behave like this, it usually means two things. Either they are confident that this move is going to continue for quite some time, or maybe they don't really care about the short-term price action. They generally believe, let's say right around the current area that we are in KASPA, we are going to hit the lows. So you know what, maybe we are going to buy right in here. And if we are going to go a bit lower, we're just going to add more and more to our portfolio. This is exactly how whales are thinking. And to me, this suggests that in KASPA, again, downsides are quite limited. Now, another very important thing to notice in here is actually the direction of transfers, and we talked about this earlier. These guys actually moved their tokens out of their exchanges, and in this case, mainly we are talking about two exchanges, which are Kraken and also Gate.io. And when coins leave exchanges, it's very important to understand that the liquid supply is just going to get tighter and tighter. And if demand is going to increase later on, then okay, a thinner supply usually in that scenario is going to make price reactions quite stronger and much faster. Also, as for wallet number 1 holding over 4% of the total KASPA supply, you might say, well, okay, this is a bit of a high concentration. That's fair enough. However, I think this is actually acting as like a short-term support for us because whales do not really think about buying such amounts of tokens unless they believe in the project and its mid to long-term potential. And you can clearly understand that when you are seeing that whales, as they are buying, they are actually moving their tokens out of exchanges, meaning what? Yep, they don't really want to sell in the short term. So as our conclusion here, I think all of these signs do actually show a steady accumulation during uncertainty, plus millions of KASPA being removed from circulation definitely is yet another optimistic sign indicating, again, downsides are actually quite limited. So overall, I'm thinking we are actually looking quite promising in terms of fundamentals and on-chain data. Now, having said all that, let's go on the live chart and see what happened recently in KASPA. And if you are a regular viewer, if you remember the last time that we talked about KASPA, we were actually right in here. And the idea was that, well, okay, maybe the bottom is in, but under any kind of circumstances, I think we were specifically right in here. We said we should not go down and take this important low because at that point, it is going to essentially be confirmed that we are having an ABC and our move down is going to continue. So thank God that we got our move on the upside, but I'm here to tell you that I did not see such an insane move in KASPA coming anytime soon. And I would like to apologize for my analysis because the main idea behind KASPA in the previous video, if you remember, was that, okay, even if the final low is already in, we're just going to have off of the lows, maybe an impulse to about these important areas, and maybe these are going to act as decent resistances, which means that we are going to maybe spend some time hanging under these important levels. And again, as you can see, that definitely did not go according to what I had in my mind. And this is the second time that I'm getting this absolutely 100% wrong. The time before that, I think we were right in here. And the idea was that hopefully we are not going to get a move down and go under these important levels. I was like, well, okay, we're just going to get a move down in order to get to maximum this level, and then I expected from this point a big bounce, and as you can see, even this thing definitely did not happen. So again, in the last two videos in KASPA, I was absolutely 100% wrong. Do not get it twisted. Now, let's put all that aside and see what is going to happen right now. You see, let's just go around here. In terms of Elios waves, if you want to be optimistic on any chart and you want to say that maybe in here we are going to hit the lows, then okay. Off of the lows in this region, you have to be able to find, excuse me, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave on the upside. There we go. This specific scenario is called an impulsive movement. Rules for it are, we should not have overlapping of the waves between wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of 5 wave, our wave 3 should not be the smallest wave. And in terms of the sub waves, you know what I'm about to say if you are a regular viewer of the channel. We're gonna have 5 wave up into wave 1, 3, and 5, and for wave 2 and 4, we can consider different possibilities. Honestly, it's not really that important. Let's say ABC into wave 2 and maybe a WXYS rusher into wave 4. Now, after completing a 5 wave, trust me, right around the highs, it's not really going to be a buying opportunity, because usually, even according to the most bullish case, after completing an impulse, we are actually going to get a bit of a move on the downside, and this has to be a correction structure, which has certain characteristics, chief among them being quite a slow and choppy, and this is just going to take some time. Now, do we have this in KASPA or not? Meaning, can we argue with a decent bit of confidence that hopefully we have hit the lows or not? I think the answer to that question is probably yes. Here is how I can argue that. I believe we can say maybe from this level, this is 1, this is 2, and then probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up to about here into our wave 3, followed by, I'm gonna say probably a running flat into 4 and another move up into wave 5. And notice that I didn't really say to about the highest high we are actually having the end of our wave 5. Why is that? Simple reason actually. If you just zoom in a bit more, okay, here's a question for you. How exactly are you able to find in this leg up right in here in KASPA a 5 wave? I think finding an impulse in here is actually quite hard, to a degree that it shouldn't really be our base case. Meaning what? Yup, this is probably an A, B, C in form of a zigzag structure, and that actually opens doors to having maybe something called an ABC expanded flat, which looks like this. This is our initial move down into a correction for wave B, which in it we are going to take this initial high, and then we are going to have a rather strong move down into C, and in it clearly, as you can see, we are going to take the low of our wave B. What if we are not going to take it and our C leg is going to end maybe right around this area? No problem at all. At that point, we're just going to call this thing an ABC running flat. Bottom line, this is going to be a correction structure, and after it's over, yep, we can expect once more, hopefully, a continuation of the move up. And I forgot to tell you this, for our sub waves, we're gonna have ABC into A, ABC into B, followed by, there we go, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave on the downside into our wave C. Now let's go on the live chart and see what is happening in like very short term. So we said this is definitely ABC on the upside, and on the other hand, I think from this point, this is 5 down into a correction for wave B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down into C. So far, we are having ABC down, ABC up. What is happening right now? In my view, you can absolutely 100% argue that this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to about here. In other words, yes, you absolutely do have the subwaves for an A, B, C expanded flat to about here. meaning you can actually argue maybe even if we are lucky in KASPA, our move down is over, and from here we are going to see like a big continuation of our move up. And why do I say a big continuation of our move up? Because if I'm right and in KASPA the final low is truly N, then okay, this is going to be 5 wave up into a larger degree wave 1, followed by a correction for wave 2, and what's next? Massive move up into wave 3, 4, 5. And it's very important to understand that in terms of Elliott waves, wave 3 is actually a rather big and sharp move on the upside in most cases. So that's why I said maybe we should expect a big move up starting, maybe even if we are lucky from the current point. Question: what's going to be my base case? Well, I'm telling you right now, I don't really want to say that my base case should be having a move up starting from the current point effective immediately, for a very important reason. If this is actually a correction structure into our wave 2, well, okay, here's a top tip for you. Wave 2 usually is a deep move on the downside, and by no means we are witnessing in here a deep move down. Let's just use Fibonacci's to make our point. There we go. As you can see, in this phase down in KASPA, we didn't even retrace to about the 50% level. So again, this is definitely not that deep. So in an ideal scenario, I actually want to see another move down in KASPA, and I know this might be a bit confusing, but trust me, I want to see another move down in form of actually a 3-wave movement, maybe an ABC zigzag, in order to complete the subwaves for a WXY in form of a flat and a zigzag. And maybe a likely target for this move down is going to be maybe bare minimum somewhere around here, about 4.4 cents area, because when we got this move up in H4 and daily time frame, as a result of this thing happening like way too fast, we created some decent gaps, and the gap in daily time frame is in here about 4.5 cents. The gap in H4 time frame is actually a bit lower, about 4.1 cents region. So in an ideal scenario, since I believe gaps 95+% of the time are going to get filled, I really want to see maybe another short-term move down in KASPA, and then I'm going to come out and say it. You know what? Maybe it's time for a great move on the upside. Now, what if we are going to get our move up from the current point? No problem at all. At that point, I'm just going to be pleasantly surprised. But if this move on the upside starting from the current point should be my base case, at that point, if we get like a big move on the downside, maybe like a 30-40% move, I'm just gonna get caught off guard, which is really not ideal. So here is what I have to say. I think most likely and hopefully the trend has changed in KASPA, but before starting another big move up, in an ideal scenario, I do like to see another move down, and this is my base case. And if it happens, okay, I expected it, no problem at all. If it doesn't happen, and from here we're gonna get a move up, still no problem at all. I'm just going to be pleasantly surprised, which is always nice. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in KASPA's chart. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.